Good morning, welcome to day 134, July 1st. I've entered the month in which I believe I'm going to complete the trail, hopefully around the 18th. So that's exciting, and I just came up from the path from Imp Shelter where I stayed last night. I stayed in the shelter, which is a good thing because a thunderstorm rolled through last night, and the rest of my party stayed on tent platforms in their tents. And they had to ride out the storm, so they're still packing up. But I put in my earplugs, and I had a pretty uneventful night, slept pretty well. I think I heard one boom of thunder and some rain on the rooftop, but other than that, I didn't even realize there was a storm, but apparently it was pretty strong. But I didn't do a wrap-up yesterday because by the time we got here to the shelter it was almost 7, and by the time I got settled in to the shelter and got my dinner made, I didn't even have time for a wrap-up video. It was 9 o'clock, maybe 9:15, but yesterday was just a really brutal day. Doing 19 miles in the whites it's not a good idea, but by the time we got over in this area, there's just nowhere else to stay, so we had to come here to Imp campsite. But that descent down North Carter was the worst descent that I've had to endure the whole trip. Just slick rocks. It didn't even rain yesterday, but the rocks are still slick, and I actually ended up slipping and taking a pretty good fall. The worst fall I've had of my whole trip. Didn't break anything or sprain anything, so it could have been a lot worse. I've got some abrasions on my elbow. I fell on my right hip and my right, just above the elbow, lower forearm area. I got some abrasions, and then my pack cover now has about a dime-sized hole in it, and the mesh pocket on the back side of my pack has a little hole in it now from abrasions. But you know, I was upset about it at first. It put me in a bad mood last night, but you know, looking at it this morning, it could have been a lot worse. You know, I could still get up and walk. I didn't have to be assisted or rescued, so I'm just going to take my lumps and keep going. So we got 8 miles to do today in the Gorham into the Rattle River Hostel. So hopefully we'll get there midday, 12 or 1 at the latest. There's a 2 o'clock shuttle into Walmart, so I'm hoping to make that. So until next segment, this is Reboot heading north. Got a nice view already starting out. That must be Gorham down there in the valley. That's where I'm going today. And over there's the mountain that not the one on the right, but the one in the middle. It's North Carter. The descent was terrible. About 3/4 of the way up Mount Moriah. I'm looking back toward the Carters. The tallest one is North Carter and Middle Carter, and Carter Dome in the middle there. And that's one of the presidentials over there. Probably Madison. And we came over that the day before yesterday. This is Moriah up that way. My last 4,000 footer in the whites. And boy am I glad. It's 11:45 and I made it down to US Route 2 near Gorham. Getting ready to go into the Rattle River Lodge and Hostel where we have a reservation for tonight. This will be the wrap up for day 134. You're looking at the side entry to the Rattle River Hostel, and when you enter you go in that door right there, and they have a very organized setup, very clean setup. And once you come in, they don't want any trekking poles or any trail shoes in the hostel. You put those right there. And so once you go in that door, they have 2 showers right there. They call that the pack room. And you take your pack off. They don't want your pack or your sleeping bag or your tent, anything that has a smell on it. They don't want it inside the hostel, so the hostel doesn't get that hiker musty smell that comes from all the gear. And inside is extremely clean. It's well organized, it's well staffed. I think there's like 4 or 5 people working there. But when you come in, they greet you immediately. You go into the shower and get changed out of your dirty hiker clothes and into the loaner clothes. You put all your clothes into the laundry bag, and then they take your laundry from there and do it for you and bring it back to you. So we got there, got showered, got up, checked into our bunk room. They gave us a tour of the facility, and when we went through the kitchen, had a tray full of brownies. And I had a coconut brownie, which is a brownie with about a 1/4-inch layer of coconut on it. It was just incredible. And went into town and got our resupply, then came back here. The only thing is New Hampshire is experiencing a unseasonal heat wave. So it was close to 90 degrees here, and everybody's been inside. The pack room's the only room that has any air conditioning, so the house has been pretty warm except for the pack room, so we've all kind of stayed in there and tried to stay cool. Ordered some food here. The local pizza place delivers, and I had a calzone and a salad. And then they sell pints of ice cream here, so I had a pint of banana pudding ice cream. I weighed myself. I was 162, so I haven't lost any more weight, so that's good. But it's cooled down enough now. It's about 8 o'clock, and it's cooled down enough where you can stand being outside. And we got the fans sucking in cooler air into our bunk room, so I'm hoping it'll cool off in there eventually. We're real concerned about heading out tomorrow because it's supposed to be in the 90s, and they've got a heat advisory up here. We're definitely going out. It's just I don't know how far we're going to get because it's just supposed to be in the 90s and high humidity for the next 3 days. But we got to do what we got to do. So whether we make it to our desired mileage, or we find a stream or pond and try to do some swimming to cool off, we'll get there one way or another. So until tomorrow, it's all good in the woods. And it didn't even rain yesterday. They don't want it inside the... They don't want it in...